So with Achilles locks, even if you forget everything, just focus on the idea of putting his chest facing towards the ceiling. In any Achilles lock, he's gonna get the most braking power if he can take his chest and point it down towards the floor and apply body weight. So the second I see...
Now, when finishing a straight ankle lock, we not only want to connect to our opponent's hip, but we want to drive it down towards the mat. And going belly down gives us a tremendous ability to achieve this.
So it's not hips forward like this, it's hips back towards and arching with the back.
So as the defender, we really want to prevent the attacker from going belly down. But let's ask our AI chatbot if there's anything else we can do to defend a straight ankle lock.
Have you tried just tapping, bro?
Now, I think the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is a vision model that can watch you do jiu-jitsu and say, hey dude, you tapped 6 times to a straight ankle lock today. Here are some concepts, some matches, some resources to study, as well as some drills, techniques, and games you can play to help develop your straight ankle lock defense. And this is what we're working on creating with the Outlier database. Now we're grandfathering in the first 2,000 people that sign up and giving them my $97 instructional for free, as a way of saying thank you for believing in this product and helping fund its creation. Now we're still a long way off from this pot of gold, and we don't have a vision model yet, but these tools are getting better each day. And the first thing it recommends to defend a straight ankle lock is putting on the boot, and you can click here to learn how to do that.
Instead of booting straight up and just trying to push the leg through, we turn it. That way now his forearm is under the side of my leg instead of being directly under the Achilles where he would need it to finish and eventually break my foot.
The attacker wants the toes in a state of extension. And by putting on the boot, we deny them the ability to do this. But when we start to get into variations like the Aoki lock, the angle at which we extend the toes starts to vary a bit.
The Aoki is, we're actually taking the foot on a slight angle. Instead of going straight down, instead of going down like this, I'm going to go a little bit on a slight side angle like this.
So maybe something like putting weight over the toes might be a good way to word this third invariant. Now, as the defender, one great way to prevent this from happening is to put your foot on the mat. And we can play games that help us develop the skill of denying the attacker the ability to put weight over our toes.
Okay, so if I can build to a weighted point, I can stay here, 1, 2, 3, victory for myself.
However, if the attacker goes belly down, now they have good connection to our hip, a good ability to pressure our hip down to the floor, and they've created a floating foot, which makes it much easier for them to put weight over our toes. So again, this is another reason why we need to prevent the attacker from going belly down. Now, as the attacker, normally we achieve this effect of getting weight over the toes by adjusting our grip. But in order to adjust our grip, we need to move our hips.
First thing I have to do is to move my hips. Position of my hips will allow me to correct my grip and move my hips away, okay? I need to be at the very end of his ankle.
So to achieve this third invariant of putting weight over the toes, we can shoot our hips back to the line of our shoulder, which will allow us to adjust our grip. But normally when it comes time to finish a submission, we want our hips moving towards our opponent's hips.
Generally facing the hips, and I say generally because we need to pick this apart because there might be examples where it's not. Facing the hips enhances strangleability and breakability.
If we look at other submissions like a guillotine, anaconda, or armbar, generally our hips are working towards our opponent's hips. Now there definitely are some nuances to this, but I think it's a good general rule. So maybe we shoot our hips back to the line of our shoulders to help us adjust our grip to get weight over the toes. But when it comes time to finish, we're going to want to bring our hips back in towards our opponent's hips. So we're going to go ahead and make that our fourth invariant. A great way to exaggerate this effect is by posting your top foot on your opponent's hip while you straighten your bottom leg.
Yeah, watching Szynski do it is like, I think this leg kicking kind of deep, making sure you really collect there, like your hips close to the hips as you're bridging.
Now, as we hop back into our jiu-jitsu chatbot for defensive advice, the second thing it recommends is to pummel in your secondary leg as almost like a deep De La Hiva hook and push off the attacker's upper body as you fall to the side of your secondary leg. So if we hop into this resource, you can't watch it directly on our website because it's behind the paywall of Submeta.
I'm gonna put my foot through, step the outstep of my foot on the hip. Now start turning to my left as I push with my left, push and pull now. So it's push, pull, turn, free my foot.
But if we hop back in here, you can see many examples of what Lachlan's talking about happening in competition. Now, the idea behind this escape is maybe the attacker shoots their hips back to adjust their grip and get weight over our toes. But this gives the defender space to bring their secondary leg into the party, which now makes it very difficult for the attacker to bring their hips in to finish the submission, while the defender uses their secondary leg to help extract their primary leg that's under attack. So as the attacker, we want to isolate the leg we're attacking from everything else. Now, this is a working list, but these are 5 invariants that I think are needed to finish a straight ankle lock. And again, going belly down is a great way to connect to the hip, hold it down towards the mat, get weight over the toes, bring our hips in towards our partner's hips, and isolate the leg we're attacking from everything else, which makes it a very strong position for finishing a straight ankle lock. So when defending a straight ankle lock, our goal is to deny the attacker from achieving these invariants. But now let's say we don't just want to defend, we want to counter the straight ankle lock. So again, the AI starts off by telling us to put the boot on and then pummel in our De La Hiva hook. But now it gives us the third option of taking an Achilles grip on the attacker's outside leg, leading into an Aoki lock counter. And if we hop into this resource, you can see a very young Jeremy Skinner teaching this technique.
Either take my left hand or punch through, making sure that Michael's toes stay underneath my armpit. I'll connect my hands so I can pull all the way back here. And then now I can either keep my hands connected or I can lock up a figure 4 and extend over my shoulder.
Now, if you have UFC Fight Pass, you can watch Jeremy do it here. But if not, there are a few other examples that are free on YouTube.